our jurisdiction. The operation is clearly a law enforcement one, and the Philippine National Police has the power to ask the armed forces to assist. And that is the extent of the participation of my department and the armed forces of the Philippines. And all other matters in supporting the Philippine National Police are covered by operational security.
Tama po. Kaya hindi talaga chismis lang to. Meron talagang natanggap. At sinabi rin sa isang interview, alas 3 ng umaga, natanggap na yung notice of arrest nung Martes, March 11. Sinabi naman ni Secretary Remulla na si PNP General Marbil nakatanggap ng notice of arrest warrant alas 3 ng umaga ng Martes at sinabihan ang Pangulo ng alas 6. Nabasa niya na sa alas 6 ng umaga. So ibig sabihin, hindi po chismis to. Meron ng notice of arrest warrant.
You're talking about 2 different days.
Okay.
March 10.
Sige, clarify po ninyo para maintindihan namin.
Was conjecture.
March 10, chismis pa lang yun.
Yes, ma'am.
Dala nung salita galing sa Hong Kong.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
March 11 was a formalized transmission by the ICC towards Interpol. And that was the first knowledge that this administration had of the presence of a action by the ICC directed towards Interpol. And that was the only formal knowledge that we had.
So, andun lang. So, ang ibig sabihin, ang gobyerno hindi tumulong sa ICC sa application ng warrant. Nagulat kayo na dumating na lang yung dokumento?
Yes, ma'am.
Wala kayong kaalam-alam or paghihingi?
None whatsoever, ma'am.
None whatsoever. Ganon din yung SOJ, pati yung SND. Wala kayong balita, wala kayong hinikayat, wala kayong pakikiusap na ilabas na yan sa lalong madaling panahon.
Wala po ako rito noon eh. Nasa Vienna po ako. Ma-attend po ako ng United Nations meeting sa Drugs and Crime, UNODC.
Yung March 10 o yung 11 po?
Parehong araw po, wala po ako rito. Ngunit nakikipag-usap po ako sa telepono na tinatanong ko yung nangyayari dito sapagkat ang Department of Justice ay involved syempre sa bawat proseso. At kinakausap ko po yung mga pwede kong kausapin tungkol dito.
Okay, so wala kayo dito pero kayo nag-anunsyo at lumabas sa balita na alas 3 ng umaga pa lang ng Martes andyan na yung notice of warrant.
It was me, ma'am. It was me.
Ibang Remulla yun? Baka na-confuse pati media.
It was me who confirmed during the press conference of March on Tuesday, March 11, I think, that when the president asked me on when the notice of diffusion arrived, and I stated it was 3 a.m.
Salamat. Okay. Si General Marbil, may idadagdag po kayo. Kayo daw ang nakatanggap eh.
Ma'am, natanggap ko po yun ay more or less after ng 3 o'clock. So usually ito po talagang ginagawa namin. Pagka meron pong request ang PCTC Interpol, we act po dun sa kanila po. Kung ano po yung request ng PCTC Interpol.
Maraming salamat, General Marbil. At Interpol ang binabanggit na natin ngayon. So yung Interpol, ang Pilipinas ay isa sa founding member. Isa tayo sa nanguna sa pagtatatag ng Interpol noong 1952. Interpol's purpose is to facilitate cooperation and assist member nations. So crime information sharing, investigative support, specialized training, transnational crimes in particular are the focus of this agency. And this comprise terrorism, cybercrime, organized crime, financial crime, and anti-corruption. And to ensure that it is not used for persecution, in its constitution, the Interpol has Article 3, providing that it's strictly forbidden for the organization to undertake any intervention or activities of a political, military, religious, or racial character. So maliwanag yan sa Interpol, hindi sila manghihimasok sa politika at sa domestic affairs ng isang bansa. Ngayon, eto na yung press con ng ating Pangulo noong March 11 ng 2025 at sinabi niya, andito yata yan, it's a request of the Philippine government from Interpol. And to enforce the arrest warrant, and of course we comply with our commitments to Interpol. We did not do this because it was derived or it came from ICC, but rather from Interpol. Because they asked us, we have commitments to them, we live up to those commitments. I don't think we violated the country's sovereignty. Bakit naman? Dahil consistent naman tayo, hindi tayo tumutulong sa investigasyon ng ICC. Wala tayong meron contact, pero not on an official level. We did not help them in any way. The arrest we did today was in compliance. Ayan, mabasa ninyo. Was in compliance with the commitment to Interpol at hindi yung ICC. Hindi natin kinakausap ang ICC, marami silang hinihingi sa atin ng mga dokumento, wala kaming binibigay. Yun lamang, hindi natin mahindian ang Interpol. So kung may duda sa ating pakikibahagi sa ICC, ang sinasabi ng Pangulo, ang ating commitment, obligasyon sa Interpol ay maliwanag at walang duda. So ang sinasabi natin, kailan ba natanggap ng gobyerno na yung ICC naglabas na ng warrant of arrest laban kay Presidente PRRD?
At alas 3 nga ng umaga. Yun ang pagkakaalam kong yun.
So, hindi...
March 11.
No inkling before. May marites lang.
Marites lang po. Marami hong... ilang taon na po yung sinasabi na may lalabas na warrant of arrest. Ngunit ngayon lang ho talaga lumabas. March 11, alas 3 ng umaga.
So hanggang sa March 11 ng alas 3, na tulad ng sinabi ni General Marbil, natanggap ninyo nung umaga, ay wala kayo ka-idea.
The only information we got was the words of the former president in Hong Kong.
Sa Hong Kong?
Sa Hong Kong, ma'am.
Na andyan na?
Yes, ma'am.
Siya pang nauna, hindi kayo?
Yes, ma'am.
Nakakatuwa, no? Anyway, hindi ba March 8 pa lamang, marami na ring chismis na magkakaroon ng arrest warrant. In fact, the following day, mismo yung palasyo, Malacanang, sinabi na may mga haka-haka na ganun nga, lalabas na, and the government is prepared for any eventuality. Bakit nasabi yun? Kung wala pang hawak na notice or kopya, March 8 pa lang to, nagsalita na yung Malacanang. Ibig sabihin, andun na.
Ma'am, the government is prepared for any eventuality at all times. That is the nature of our job. We will always be prepared. We will always be on hand to enforce any of these laws, ma'am.
So it does not mean na yung executive o yung palasyo may nalalaman tungkol sa warrant of arrest?
No one knew, ma'am.
Walang may alam?
I repeat, ma'am, categorically, no one knew until 3 o'clock of March 11.
3 a.m.
Yes, ma'am.
Sa umaga. Nung March 9, ang ating USEC sa PCO sabi, if Interpol hihingi ng assistance galing sa gobyerno, tutulungan. So why was Interpol already being mentioned and being bandied about as early as March 8, March 9, kahit wala pang notice, wala pang red notice, wala miski ano?
Ma'am, maybe in context, sabi ko nga, marami ho naging pagkakataon na tumulong po Interpol sa atin, kaya hindi natin nalilimutan. Isang example po dyan ay yung paghuli po kay Alice Go sa Indonesia, at marami pa ho mga ibang pagkakataon na tumulong po Interpol sa atin.
Ba't alam na ng palasyo that Interpol will be involved if at that time there was no confirmation or receipt of any warrant? Bakit nagsasalita na ang palasyo, nagsasalita na yung PCO, sinasabi na huwag kayong mag-alala, handa tayo sa anumang mangyari? Bakit nagre-reassure na ang palasyo?
Ano ho kasi yan?
Parang pinapanatag.
Ang mekanismo po kasi ng International Tribunal, katulad po ng ICC, ay lumapit po sa Interpol upang ipamahagi o upang iserve ang warrant kasi wala po sila sariling kapulisan ang ICC. So, kaya umaasa rin po sila sa Interpol.
Tama. So, ang executive, alam na ninyo na ang Interpol ang gagamitin. Hindi sa wala tayo.
Ano po yun logical lang po yun. It's logic that Interpol will be the one used as they were the ones used in the past already.
Alam naman natin na gagamitin ng Interpol pero hindi naman laging Interpol ang ginagamit ng ICC.
Hindi ko po alam yung iba.
Paano natin
ang alam ko lang ho Interpol talaga.
Ang alam natin iba-iba, 'di ba, sa history ng ICC. Kaya nagtataka ako, matang aga-aga March 8, alam na natin Interpol ang magbibigay ng warrant.
Marahil kasi ang Interpol may opisina rin po sila sa sa Paris tsaka sa Hague. Kaya nag-uusap-usap po lahat yan. Yung Eurojust, Europol, ICC, ICJ, isang lugar lang po yan sa The Hague.
Po, alam natin, pero iba-ibang pamamaraan ang ginagamit ng ICC para hulihin, dakipin, at mag-serve ng warrant. So, ang sinasabi natin, siguro sina General Marbil, pagkata sila naman na nakatanggap nito, walang contact or coordination sa ICC or Interpol bago March 11. bago March 11, yung alas 3 ng umaga, na sinasabi po ninyo, talagang wala kayong ka-idea, walang notice, walang timbre, walang tawag, walang kaalam-alam ang Pilipinas tungkol dito.
Ma'am, can I answer that, ma'am?
Si General Marbil ang tinatanong po.
Okay.
Pwede kayong magdagdag, ma'am, ya?
Ma'am, wala po kaming communication with the ICC except for the PCTs lang po. We rely on the Philippine Center for Transnational Crime.
Teka, so kauna-unahang pagkaalam mo tungkol dito sa warrant mula sa Interpol nung Marso 11, ika-11 ng Marso, tama ba?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Sigurado kayo, ha?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Oo, okay. So, but you just said na it doesn't go to you directly. Sabi mo, dumadaan muna sa transnational crime. Pwede ba natin tanungin ang ating head ng transnational crime? Andito po si Executive Director Alcantara. Kayo ba ang una nakatanggap nitong galing sa Interpol?
Magandang umaga po, Madam Chair. Tama po yun. Ang NCB Manila ang tumanggap po at 3 o'clock in the morning nung diffusion na sinasabi na may warrant of arrest na po ang ating dating Pangulo at yun po ang ginamit namin, pinan-out namin.
Tapos pinadala ninyo kaagad sa kapulisan?
Law enforcement agencies po ang mga pinadala natin, ang National Bureau of Investigation, ang Philippine National Police, ang Bureau of Immigration at pinadalang ko rin po ang Department of Justice.
Okay. Maraming salamat. At may dadagdag yata si Secretary John Vic.
Wala na, ma'am.
Okay. At was a red notice, itong tinatawag na red notice, iyon ba ang pinadala ng Interpol, Executive Director Alcantara? Kasi ang binanggit mo ngayon, diffusion.
Ang dumating po sa atin ay isang diffusion, isang commonly tinatawag na red diffusion.
Teka, ang pagkaalam ko, iba ang notice at iba ang diffusion. Iklaro po ninyo. Ano na natanggap?
Ipapaliwanag ko po. Ang red notice po ay a request for international police cooperation that has been applied for by a member country or entity that are distributed to every member of the organization.
Opo, alam natin yon.
Okay,
pero ang sabi kanina, red notice ang natanggap. Ngayon ang sinasabi mo, hindi red notice, kundi diffusion lamang.
Tama po.
Alin ba talaga?
Diffusion po.
Walang red notice.
Nagkakaroon po ang general public or everybody ng
pero alam natin na hindi magkapareho yun.
It's equivalent po to a red notice.
Hindi po.
Mas
alam ninyo ito sa akin. Ang diffusion po hindi red notice. Tingnan lang natin ang website.
Ang diffusion po is a request for international police cooperation that is coming from an entity or another member country that is directed to another member country.
Tama,
or several
oo.
countries. Yung po ang pagkakaiba.
Sa member to member,
Opo.
it's an unverified report requesting for information. Humihingi lang, makikipakilang sa kapwa member na kung maaari, tulungan ninyo kami. Pero hindi siya verified, hindi siya dumadaan sa kanilang commissioner, hindi siya pinopost sa website katulad ng red notice.
But
Tama po ba?
It went through the police of the organization's police database. Pumasok din po yon sa database.
Pumasok sa database for unverified. Maliwanag siya, di ba?
Papinawanag po na...
So, hindi po red notice ang natanggap, tama?
Diffusion po. Red
diffusion.
And more technical po, it's a wanted person diffusion.
Tama.
More technical.
So, walang red notice. Kapag walang, pag diffusion lang, ang pagkaintindi natin, humingi lang ng impormasyon, di ba?
Hindi po. Meron po tinatawag na red diffusion, blue diffusion.
Oo, maraming kulay yun eh.
Yung sinasabi po niyo na humihingi lang ng impormasyon is blue diffusion.
Okay, may kulay ba ito? Yung pinadala sa atin, anong kulay ng diffusion?
Ito po ay wanted person diffusion.
So walang red notice?
Hindi po siya red notice.
Nakatanggap pa tayo ng red notice at any point?
Itong pong wanted person diffusion na to, pagpasok po sa Interpol, sa Leon, pa-process po ng notices and diffusion.
Opo, alam po natin yon. Alam natin yung procedure.
Ang kasunod
Madalas
po nun,
na natin ginawa yan eh.
Kasunod po nun, mag-i-issue sila ng red notice. But this
Teka.
time, dahil po may urgency, they decided na it will go through by
So lumundag na
diffusion.
tayo mula sa diffusion, hindi man lang na-confirm, hindi man lang napagtibayan, hindi man lang nadaan sa commissioner nila, hindi man lang nailagay sa website o naging opisyal, lumundag na po tayo? Sa diffusion pa lang yan mo. Hindi, kasi inaamin ninyo, wala namang red notice kailanman.
It is our job to find it out immediately, disseminate immediately, because the nature of the diffusion is...
bakit si Congressman Arnie Teves may red notice na, hindi pa natin nagagawa ng paraan?
Hindi ko po masagot.
Ma'am, yung kay Arnie Teves, kaya ho siya nahuli sa East Timor ay dahil sa red notice. Yun ang dahilan. Oo,
klaro po yun, yung red notice. Kaya nga, ang pagkaintindi namin, red notice din ang sinasabi. Ngayon, lumalabas na wala kailanman na lumabas na red notice mula sa Interpol, kundi diffusion lamang.
Baka dahil sa panahon, kasi mabilis po ang pagganap ng lahat, yung mga pangyayari. Mabilis po nangyayari. Kaya marahil, sa ordinaryong pagkakataon, nandiyan po ang red notice. Dito, wala akong pagkakataon marahil.
Madam Chair, gusto
So,
ko...
ibig sabihin, ang katotohanan, walang red notice. Mag-ingat po kayo, you're under oath, makukontempt po tayo. Dahil pagbibigyan natin, kasi sabi, red notice, yung pala, hindi red notice, nasa diffusion na po. There was no red notice and what was issued was merely a diffusion. Pakita po natin, may pagkakaiba yan, matindi. So, itong diffusion, hindi yan pinagtitibay ng Interpol Secretariat. Hindi dumaan sa Commissioner. Tama po ba?
Meron po silang... Meron...
Give me yung plano lang, plano.
Ano sir? Salubungin lang namin sir.
Yung warrant sir, si Sir.
Hindi sir, may taga-PCTC. May Interpol.
Interpol.
Yes sir.
So kayo ang lead, ano sir?
Yes sir. Yes.
Kumusta kasi sir?
Hindi ko pwede.
Sige sir.
Warrant. So, you will just have to pay. Kung hindi ako papayag, kung kakampi ka dyan sa mga puti, you better go back to them and have the legal... I am a citizen of this country, a former president, and you show me a piece of paper and you're asking me to go with you. That is serious illegal detention.
Former President Rodrigo Duterte cries out illegal detention at Villamor Air Base after he was served an arrest warrant from the International Criminal Court. The former president was arrested upon his arrival at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport on Tuesday, March 11. Duterte's arrest came amid a case before the International Criminal Court for alleged crimes against humanity during his administration's war on drugs.
For and against you in the court of law. And I want to ask you, sir, if you understand these rights.
I was coming from you, very clear.
Now that you're asking, sir, for the basis of the warrant, the ICC issued a warrant pursuant to Article 25(3)(a) of the statute for crimes against humanity and pursuant to Article 7(1)(a) of the same statute for murder, sir.
Pagdating na namin ng mga gamot na kailangan.
Sir, this is a police operation. Ipulitin natin ang sir. Sandali mo na. How to square one. Earlier this year, I placed the former president under arrest. Basically, sir, is for you to choose 3 people to accompany the article. Sebastian. And
Private flight from. So we need to know. We need to know when you're bringing our president. Sir, we need to know please information where you are bringing.
Sabihin nyo kung saan siya dalahin.
Just invoke Article 59. Bakit hindi yan magawa-gawa? That's precisely the point that I'm saying. That's precisely the right to counsel is something that has to be observed and respected. Tanungin ko kayo, anong kasalanan ko? Katanungan. Kayo, nandito lang kayo lahat. Ikaw, tanungin kita, anong kasalanan ko?
hihilahin ko yan. Hihilahin ko yan. Kung maniwala ka, hihilahin ko yan. Pero hihilahin ko yan. Is that our intention?
You have to kill me to bring me to him. Ang anak mo pupunta dito.
Yes, sir. Hindi pa pasukin na.
Hindi ninyo. Ikaw.
Yes, sir.
Hindi mo
Upon my order.
Hindi mo pinapano.
Yes, sir. Upon my order, sir.
Ang sabi ko, ang abogado ko, ang anak ko na babae.
They can visit you at your detention center.
Hindi nila ako pinapapasok dito sa airbase. Nakiusap ako kung pwedeng makausap ko personal si former President Rodrigo Duterte para mabigyan ko siya ng instructions and then makabigay din siya ng instructions sa si General Marbil daw ang in charge ng buong Villamor Military Airbase. Saan ka ba naman nakahanap ng military airbase na chief PNP ang in charge at siya ang nagsasabi kung sino ang pwedeng pumasok at hindi pumasok.
But you're the second highest official dito sa ating bansa. Pero parang pamumulitika po ito.
Alright? Oo. Very much pamumulitika ito. Kahit ang ibang bansa nagsalita na.
Maraming salamat. Ito po ang napanood ng buong bansa at ang tanging tanong, bakit natin isinuko ang isang kapwang Pilipino? Kung ang iyong kapatid ay inuusig, ipapasa mo ba sa kamay ng iba? Kung ang iyong ama o di kaya ang iyong lolo pa, matanda na at may sakit, kinakaladkad palabas ng inyong tahanan, manunood ka ba na parang wala lang? Ganito ang nangyari ngayon. Isinuko natin si Rodrigo Roa Duterte sa dayuhan na para bang wala siyang sariling bayan, na para bang hindi na natin kayang humusga sa sarili nating tahanan. Here we are watching as a fellow Filipino, a leader, a father, a grandfather, a man who served this country is taken not by his own people, but by outsiders who claim the right to judge him. Sabi nila, batas ang dapat manaig. Tama. But whose law? Ours or theirs? Since when did the Philippines become a province of The Hague? Kung kaya nilo itong gawin sa isang dating pangulo, sino na lang ang susunod? If they can march into our house and take one of our own, what stops them from doing it again and again? To you, to me, to any of us. What protection can we guarantee our OFWs eking out a living overseas? This is bigger than Duterte. This is about our dignity as Filipinos. Ngayon pa lang ito nangyari sa buong kasaysayan ng Pilipinas. Pero paano kung mauulit? Paano kung sa susunod, ibang Pilipino naman ang kinaladkad papalabas? The Senate will seek answers, and if there is indeed wrongdoing, we will make certain to put up safeguards so this never happens again. We are not here to fight, least of all, to fight each other. We are here to find the truth, because a country that does not demand answers will always be at the mercy of those who dictate the questions. Ang hustisyang ipinapataw ng dayuhan ay hindi hustisya. Ito ay pang-aalipin. Ito ay pagkontrol. At mga kababayan ko, hindi tayo alipin. Tayo ay Pilipino. At kung Pilipino ka, hindi mo kailanman isusuko ang iyong kapwang Pilipino. Hindi mo isusuko ang iyong pagiging Pilipino. We call on Senator Bongo, who also has a preliminary statement. Senator Bong? I think you're on mute. There we go.
Good day, Madam Chair, distinguished colleagues, to the resource persons present in this hearing. Ang pangunahing tanong ko po sa hearing na ito, paano at bakit tayo umabot sa ganitong sitwasyon? Meron naman tayong umiiral na hustisya sa bansa, meron naman tayong sariling mga batas at korte. Bakit pinayagan po ng gobyerno na nakipin po ang isang Pilipino sa sarili nating bayan? Sabi nga ng mga nakakarami, too late the hero. Kaya kung ano man ang lumabas sa hearing na ito, si dating Pangulong Duterte ay ngayon nasa The Hague na po, Netherlands na po. Ano bang pwede pang magawa? I respect the initiative of this committee to hold the Senate inquiry. Bagamat nirespeto natin ang pagdinig na ito, sinasabi ko rin po ang aking mga hinanakit na parang too late na po. Walang problema sa akin mag-hearing kahit araw-araw po. Pero tanong, may babalik niyo pa ba si Tatay Digong? Yan ang tinatawag ko na too late the hero na po. Useless lahat ng hearing na ito kung hindi na po may babalik si Tatay Digong. Kung kaya, pakiusap ko lang, kung kaya niyo po siyang dalhin doon in less than 1 day, sa loob po ng 13 na oras, dapat kaya niyo rin po siyang ibalik dito sa lalong madaling panahon. Dahil nangungulila po ang Pilipino at hindi kayang tanggapin ang nangyari sa kanya. Bilang isang mambabatas, nandun ako sa NAIA nung lumapag ang eroplanong sinasakyan ni dating Pangulong Duterte. Hindi po ako pinayagang makapasok. Kasama ko po ang kanyang mga doktor dahil may scheduled medical check-up po siya sa March 12. You may check the records po. Importante masiguro ang kanyang kalusugan dahil 80 years old na po ang dating Pangulo. Pero mukhang hindi ito na isaalang-alang po ng otoridad dahil hindi siya pinayagan na mapunta sa ospital. Hindi nadala ang kanyang mga medisina. Alam niyo po, ako ang nagpapadala ng medisina niya sa bahay niya. Linggo-linggo po yan. Dahil yan po ang pinangako ko sa kanya noon. Bagamat hindi na po siya nakikialam sa akin sa politika. Pero sa kanyang medical, ay yan ang pinangako ko sa kanya na hindi ko siya pababayaan habang buhay. 27 po ang kanyang gamot. Sana po ay maibigay rin ang kinakailangang gamot at medical attention sa kanya habang nasa ibang bansa. Dahil karapatan naman po ito ng bawat tao. Constitutional right po natin yan. Sanay po siya na merong nurse, sanay po siya na may doktor na nag-aasikaso sa kanya. Naikwento nga sa akin ni Atty. Mejaldea na noong unang bumisita siya sa detention cell, ay nakapaa siya dahil hindi po na naipasok ang kanyang mga gamit. Alam niyo, hirap na siya mag-medyas. Hindi na niya kayang mag-medyas mag-isa. At ngayon, it took Atty. Mejaldea several days bago maipasok yung mga kagamitan na kailangan ni Tatay Digong. Mahirap talagang kanyang sitwasyon ngayon na nakadetain. Sa unang pagharap ni dating Pangulong Duterte sa ICC, napansin natin iba po ang kanyang pananalita. Marahil ito ang estado ng kanyang kalusugan. Sa totoo lang po, several times na po naobserbahan ko yan noon. Yung kanyang pananalita, ganun yan. Pag hindi po naibibigay sa kanya yung saktong medisina na dapat niyang inumin. Marami na pong karamdaman si Tatay Digong. Sino ba namang 80 years old na walang gamot na iniinom at walang karamdaman? Yun po ang aking kinakatakot sa ngayon, ang kanyang kalusugan at ang kanyang kaligtasan. Kaya hindi ko po maintindihan bakit hindi pinayagan ng mga pulis ang doktor na makita siya. Okay na po ako, hindi niyo po ako pinapasok. Ilang beses po akong nakiusap. Pwede ba akong pumasok, sumunod? Pinababa nga ako sa sasakyan eh. Hindi po ako pinapasok doon sa Villamor Air Base. Pero nakiusap po ako na unahin na lang po yung doktor niya at yung ambulansya. Lahat naman may constitutional right to seek medical attention when needed. Lahat ng Pilipino, dating presidente man o normal na mamamayan, lahat ay may karapatan na masiguro ang kalusugan at kaligtasan. Nakakalungkot na isang bagay na ating ipinaglaban para sa Pilipino, hindi maibibigay po sa dating Pangulo na minamahal ng marami. Ganyan ba po ang dapat na trato sa taong minahal ang bayan at minahal din ng taong bayan? Madam Chair, mataas po ang aking respeto sa kapulisan. Lalo na po sa mga babae, mataas po ang aking respeto sa kanila. Nung nakaraang administrasyon, nanumbalik ang respeto ng ating mga kababayan sa kapulisan. Taas noo po ang ating kapulisan, ang ating mga sundalo. As its highest ang respeto sa PNP. Inuna namin ang pagtaas ng sahod ng uniform personnel dahil alam namin kung ano ang sakripisyo ninyo para sa bayan. Ako mismo bilang SAP noon, ako po nangulit noon na may sakatuparan po ito dahil minahal namin ang kapulisan. Ngunit nakakalungkot, Madam Chair, na noong nandun ako sa NAIA, nakikita niyo naman po sa video, nagtanong lang po ako sa PNP, sabi ni Chief PNP Marbil sa 250 po. Nilapitan ko po ang inyong spokesperson at hindi po ako sinagot, tinakbuhan po ako. Sana naman bilang spokesperson, konting sagot lang naman po. Konting respeto, sumusunod naman po kami sa batas. Hindi naman siguro dapat ipagkait sa atin ang respeto at higit sa lahat ang katotohanan. Sa totoo lamang po, ilang beses na po nagsinungaling si now Brigadier General Jean Pardo. Sana po, ma'am, bilang spokesperson, totoo lang po ang sabihin mo, alang-alang sa bayan. Your duty is to be loyal to our flag and to our country. Minahal namin kayo ni dating Pangulong Duterte. Sana, konting respeto lamang po. Kung nagawa niyo yan sa akin, magsinungaling, mas nagagawa niyo po yan sa ibang tao. Respeto lamang sana. Gaya ng pagrespeto at pagmamahal namin sa uniform personnel. Pangalawang beses na po ito na hindi ka sumagot ng totoo. Sa interview mo, sinabi mo nagpupunas lang ng pawis ang ilang pulis na nakuna ng video na umiiyak habang inaaresto si Pangulong Duterte. Mapigilan mo bang umiyak? Nasasaktan po yan. Doon lamang po tayo sa katotohanan at piliin nyo lang laging magsabi ng totoo alang-alang sa bayan. We must always entrust our loyalty to the Filipinos, to our flag, and to our country. Hindi naman po parating sinasabi ni dating Pangulong Duterte sa inyo. Just be loyal to our country and to our flag. Last, gusto nating malaman kung may nalabag ba na proseso ang pamahalaan, nabigyan ba po ng due process ang Pangulo dahil kung seryoso tayo sa pagbibigay ng hustisya, unang konsiderasyon dapat ang karapatang pantao at ang pagsunod sa due process. Sa totoo lamang po, hindi na po tatakbo si Tatay Digong sa inyo. Di na niya kayang tumakas at alam niyo po yun. Di na niya kaya kayong takbuhan dahil hirap na nga siya maglakad, nagsusungkod na nga lang po siya. Imbis na umunlad, bigla tayong umurong. OFWs, pinapauwi natin. Noon, ginagawa natin ang paraan. In fact, si dating Pangulong Duterte, sumusulat yan sa mga king o sa leader ng ibang bansa para makauwi. And even nagre-raise tayo ng blood money para makauwi lang yung mga kababayan natin. Pero bakit baliktad niya? Bakit isinuko po ang sarili nating lahi? Hindi ko lubusang matanggap na siya ay nililiti sa ibang bansa gayong siya ay isang Pilipino. Samantalang mayroon naman tayong maayos na judicial system sa ating bansa na nirerespeto. Kasarinlan yan bilang isang bansa. May sarili tayong batas, may sarili tayong proseso, may sarili tayong korte at may kakayahan tayong panagutin ang sinumang nagkakasala sa ating bayan. Madam Chair, this is now a matter of principle, justice, and humanity. Di ba't may sarili tayong sistema ng hustisya? Kapag may Pilipinong nagkasala, dapat tayo po ang husga. We must protect our citizens and we must stand as one. Dagdag pa dito, Madam Chair, mula noon hanggang ngayon, naninindigan naman po si Solicitor General Minardo Guevara na walang jurisdiction ng ICC sa ating bansa. Kung consistent po ang gobyerno sa posisyon na ito na hindi kilalanin ang jurisdiction ng International Criminal Court, bakit hinayaan po nitong ma-implement ng warrant of arrest ang Interpol mula sa isang korte na hindi naman natin kinikilala? Kung wala naman talagang jurisdiction at may warrant of arrest ang Interpol o ICC, sana binigyan muna ng pagkakataon ng gobyerno through the proper authority like judicial court na i-verify o suriin ang validity ng arrest warrant. Ang issue na ito ay hindi lamang para kay Pangulong Duterte. Ito ay mahalagang usapin sa soberanya ng Pilipinas ang nakataya dito. Alang-alang sa ating mga bayaning nagbuwis ng buhay upang makamit lang ang ating kalayaan. Alang-alang sa ating ngayon na patuloy na inaalagaan ang ating soberanya upang ang ating mga anak at mga anak ng ating mga anak ay mamumuhay ng isang bansa na malaya at irerespeto ng ibang bansa. Ang bawat Pilipino, mataas o mababa man ang katayuan sa buhay, dapat may gobyernong masasandalan na hindi siya pababayaan. Former president man o hindi, karapatan yan, lalo na po pagdating sa kanyang kalusugan, kaligtasan at buhay. Sa huli, bagamat andon si Tatay Digong na buong tapang na hinaharap ang kasong isinampa sa kanya, tulad ng kanyang paulit-ulit na ipinangako, napakasakit po sa dibdib na pagkatapos niya isakripisyo ang kanyang sarili para sa kinabukasan ng ating mga anak at ng bawat Pilipino, ni isang Pilipino ay hindi huhusga sa kanya. Imbis na ibigay sa Pilipino ang paghusga sa mga ginawa ni dating Pangulong Duterte na paglaban sa droga at kriminalidad, sadly, hindi po ganun ang nangyari. Sabi ko nga, para sa akin, Pilipino po ang dapat humusga sa totoong sitwasyon sa bansa. Kung mas nakakalakad na po ba ang ating mga anak noong panahon niya, hindi po nasasaktan, hindi nababastos. Kayo po ang humusga. Pilipino po ang dapat humusga. Minahal tayo ni Tatay Digong. Ginawa niya po ang lahat para sa bayan. Tanda na po siya. Ayaw na nga niyang tumakbong presidente. Pero ginawa niya po ito dahil yan po ang kanyang sinumpang tungkulin para sa mga kababayan natin Pilipino. Pero ngayon, hindi lang si Tatay Digong ang inialay at ipinamigay ng ating sariling kababayan. Gusto lang inialay at ipinamigay din ito ang karapatan ng Pilipino na husgahan ang ating sariling kababayan at magdesisyon kung ano ang mas makakabuti sa ating bayan. As I said, March 11 was indeed the saddest day in our history. Sana po, hindi na po ito maulit. Marami pong nasaktan na Pilipino. Salamat.
Aking kasama, Senator Bongo, we assure you that this is no time for heroics. We are determined to get the truth. We now call on Senator Jinggoy Estrada, who has manifested his desire to make a preliminary statement.
Madam Chair, I wish to waive my opening statement in order to expedite the hearing. But if you will allow me to fire the first salvo, it will be very much appreciated, Madam Chair.
Kung maari, siguro umpisahan na lang natin kasi medyo komplikado yung ating proseso. Umpisahan muna natin yung order, ano? Tapos kung pwede, sumabat na lang kayo, kikilalanin kita kaagad-agad.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Maraming salamat. Okay, at this juncture, I call on the committee secretary to administer the oath to our resource persons.
Kindly stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. Okay. I state your name. Do solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this proceeding. Thank you. You may now sit.
Yes, marami pong salamat. Napakaraming cabinet member po rito, mga secretary, mga napakatataas na mga opisyal ng ating pamahalaan. Can we say that as secretaries and high government officials, you are the alter egos of the president, particularly those in the cabinet? Tama po ba yun?
That is correct.
Thank you. And as you are all in the executive branch, can we say you are bound by the words and statements of the president?
Yes, Madam President, as we are bound to by executive privilege for the President.
Thank you. May I recall a clip derived from 18 February 2023, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. said the following, and the clip is here.
Oo, hindi, akpak. Papayagan ko sila dito, pero magturista lang sila.
I'm sorry, this seems to be an earlier statement, 2022.
Nawa ko sa ICC, the ICC is there pagka walang judiciary na nag-ooperate sa isang bansa. Dahil nagkagera, dahil nasira lahat, everybody, the economy has collapsed, etc., for whatever reason. Diyan papasok ang ICC. We have a functioning judiciary. And that's why I do not see the need for a foreigner to come and do the job for us, to do the job for our judicial system. Our judicial system is perfectly capable of doing that. And it also raises a great many questions about jurisdiction and sovereignty. What is their jurisdiction to come here into the Philippines and conduct an investigation? Is that not a violation of our rights as a sovereign nation in the community of nations? Those questions need to be answered before they can be allowed any investigation.
Senator Bongbong, maraming salamat.
Oh my, that went very quickly. Maraming
salamat. Thank you for your time. God bless you.
No. You have misread it. We do not cooperate with the ICC. That is the position of this government.
Pero sa nirad notice po ng Interpol, we will be obliged to participate.
As Secretary Remulla explained before, we have obligations to Interpol, and we have to live up to those obligations.
And therefore, the next step,
Interpol.
Okay, let me say this for the 100th time. I do not recognize the jurisdiction of ICC in the Philippines. I consider it as a threat to our sovereignty. Therefore, the Philippine government will not lift a finger to help any investigation that the ICC conducts. However, as ordinary people, they can come and visit the Philippines. Pero hindi kami tutulong sa kanila. In fact, binabantayan namin sila, making sure that hindi sila that they do not come into contact with any agency of government. And if they are contacting agencies of government, sasabihin yung whatever, policeman, local government, sabihin wag niyong sasagutin. Yun ang sagot natin. That we do not recognize your jurisdiction, therefore we will not assist in any way, shape, or form any of the investigations that the ICC is doing here in the Philippines.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
That's it? All right.
Okay. On the 18th of February, the president said, my position has not changed. I've stated it often, even before I took office as president, that there are many questions about ICC's jurisdiction and that we here in the Philippines regard as an intrusion into our internal matters and a threat to our sovereignty. Does the DFA agree with this statement? And do we abide by this position until today? Anyone from the DFA, please?
Madam Chair, good morning.
Yes, you recognize USEC.
Yes, thank you. Well, as I speak right now, the Philippines is not a member of the ICC. And the DFA defers to the Department of Justice as the implementing agency when it comes to cooperation on ICC matters. Madam Chair.
Yes, so to the best of your knowledge and in the consideration of the DFA, we are not a member of the ICC.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And the DOJ, having been referred to, may I call on Secretary Remulla, please, to clarify this issue.
We are not members of the ICC, ma'am. So whatever relationship we have with the ICC is on an arm's length basis if we have to talk to them. But we have never spoken to them. We have never spoken to them.
I didn't hear you. Whatever relationship we have
is on an arm's length basis, meaning very transparent if ever. But we have never spoken to them.
Arm's length?
Yes, ma'am.
So you have had contact even at arm's length?
We do not have any contact. What we're saying is we are very transparent about what we do, and we have never had any contact with the ICC.
So you uphold the statement of the president saying that the ICC has no jurisdiction here in the Philippines. Is that correct?
Ma'am, jurisdiction of the ICC is throughout the world. We belong to a community of nations that is tied together by a legal system called international humanitarian law. It is something adopted by more than 150 countries in the world. International humanitarian law, which became a law in 2009 or 2010. And that law, that domestic law, is what we adhere to in this case.
Are you referring to RA 9851?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you indicated the date of 2009, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So therefore, we are not members of the ICC.
We are not members of the ICC since President Duterte withdrew our membership in 2018, effective 2019.
Okay. That being the position of the DILG, I assume that Secretary Remulla in the DILG also maintains the same.
Yes, ma'am. I defer to the wisdom of the Department of Justice.
And the PNP, General Marbil, please.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Thank you. If that is therefore an unqualified yes, and you are in agreement with the President that the ICC has no jurisdiction whatsoever, what was the DOJ referring to as the ICC's jurisdiction in the Philippines being different from us being a member? What is the distinction, please?
Ma'am, the ICC tries people for individual crimes, not states. So the Philippines, as a state, cannot be called upon by the ICC to do something for them. But when the ICC is running after individuals who are Filipino citizens, then that obligation becomes another kind of obligation.
So that therefore the Senate ratification of the ICC at the time that it was ratified is of no weight. Regardless, you will fall under the jurisdiction of the ICC. Under
Well, for individuals,
international.
yes, madam.
That is your belief, DOJ?
Yes, madam. When there are individuals being asked by the ICC to explain, it is another matter. As a state is different from an individual. We all know that we have to. The individuals being charged by the ICC will have to face the ICC.
I'm perplexed. The DFA made it very clear that as we withdrew, we are no longer a state party to the treaty. And now you're saying that we can nevertheless fall under the ICC, under the generic rubric of international humanitarian law. So it doesn't matter whether you sign or do not sign. Whether
Yes, ma'am.
you ratify
It doesn't matter, ma'am.
It
Doesn't
makes
matter.
no difference.
Doesn't make any difference anymore.
Are you certain?
I'm certain.
Okay, Attorney Saret, please, from DFA. Is that the position of the DFA?
Madam Chair, I concur with my USEC, the current acting SFA, that as far as we are concerned, we're no longer members of the ICC. Ma'am.
And as non-members, can we possibly fall under the jurisdiction of the ICC under the rubric of international humanitarian law? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, I think, because we, under the...
What's the use of signing or ratifying a treaty if it bears no weight?
Yes, I defer, ma'am, to Secretary Remulla.
May I?
One, ma'am.
I think it's your purview, your DFA.
Yes, ma'am. But yes, ma'am, technically we are no longer a member of the ICC, but we might be obligated under residual jurisdiction as what the Supreme Court in one case already mentioned, that we still have residual jurisdiction. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Madam Chair, if I may.
I'm a little bit perplexed given that you are part of the executive. The president has said, as he said for the 100th time, that we are not under the ICC. Why is the SOJ now saying that we are nevertheless somehow, in some miraculous way, under the rubric of the international humanitarian law, still under its jurisdiction?
Your Honor, it is not the Philippines that is under the jurisdiction. It is the individuals who are charged by the ICC, which is under the jurisdiction. There is a distinction, ma'am.
Please explain.
As non-members of the ICC, and as a state, the ICC has no jurisdiction over us as a country. But over the individuals who may have committed crimes that violate international humanitarian law, that is a universal value being held by the whole world today, that people cannot cross borders and hide behind boundaries so that they can run away from the law. International humanitarian law is something adopted. The principles are adopted by more than 150 countries throughout the world, Your Honor.
Are you of the position, therefore, that international humanitarian law, as you said, is customary law? Is that the consideration?
It is already customary law now. As we speak, it has become customary law throughout the world.
Are you aware that procedural and admin matters do not form part of customary law? Surely the Secretary is well aware that procedural and administrative matters will still have to comply with the loss of the land.
Of course, Madam, this goes without saying.
Okay, thank you. Senator Jinggoy, I think you wanted to interject at this juncture. We recognize the senator.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you very much. The DFA, the DOJ, the DILG, and the BNP has already admitted that we are not members of the Philippines is not a member of the ICC. Therefore, why did we surrender a Filipino citizen before the ICC? Anyone can answer, Madam Chair.
We surrendered an individual to the ICC who was a subject of a warrant of arrest. That's what we did.
I did not hear you again.
Mr. Senator, we surrendered an individual to the ICC. We did not surrender as a country, but he was surrendered due to a warrant of arrest issued by the ICC.
Senator Jinggoy, any follow-up questions, please? Thank you. If that's the case, while we've attempted to retrieve Senator Jinggoy, let me just pursue the question of the international humanitarian law being customary law. Since procedural and administrative matters do not fall under customary law, ICC processes, therefore, are not part and parcel.
Madam Chair, the distinction of the ICC process of issuing a warrant of arrest is something accepted through a treaty, the International Police Organization.
You have just contradicted yourself, sir. You said it was customary, and now you're saying it's by treaty.
We can be very technical about it, ma'am.
Sorry.
But we can be very technical about it if you wish to be. But the fact is, it is our accession to the Interpol which made all of this possible.
We will go to the Interpol later. Let us discuss the ICC at this juncture. So while I will go with you for the sake of argument that the IHL, or International Humanitarian Law, has now become accepted as part of international customary law, I am unable to accept that ICC processes and administrative procedures as well are now part of customary law. I don't think so.
The processes are not part of customary law. We have our own administrative processes. If you ask me about this, Madam, we can say that the IHL is the domestic law that we followed in recognizing the warrant of arrest issued against Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Which domestic law and process did
Republic Act 9851, Your Honor.
as mentioned previously?
Yes, as mentioned previously, and within the provisions allows us two options, either extradition or surrender. We chose the executive mode, which is surrender.
We will go to that later, but at this juncture, therefore, I get an acceptance from the Secretary that, in fact, the processes that should have prevailed should have been those stipulated under RA 9851 or our own local law.
We follow the process, ma'am.
Thank you. So that's correct. On the same day, if I may proceed, the President also said, I do not see what its jurisdiction is, referring once again to the ICC. Can we bring back the video? I think there is a statement there. I feel that we have in our police and judiciary a good system. We do not need assistance from any outside entity. Again, as part of the executive department, you have subscribed to this view, I assume.
Yes, Madam.
So to clarify, the statement means that the President was not recognizing the jurisdiction of the ICC over the crimes allegedly committed by the former President. Is that correct?
We do not recognize the jurisdiction of the ICC over our country. What we recognize is the jurisdiction of the ICC over individuals who may have violated international humanitarian law by committing murder and other heinous crimes.
If I may, I think the President was referring to the jurisdiction of the ICC over crimes, specifically crimes committed by PRRD. Isn't that so?
Can you rephrase your question, ma'am?
Well, you said that while the ICC has no jurisdiction over the Philippines as a state, it maintains jurisdiction over individuals and crimes under the international humanitarian order.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. What the President said is that there is no jurisdiction over the crimes committed by the former president.
Well,
because we have a functioning police and judiciary system. Unless you submit that we don't.
Submit that we don't what, ma'am?
That we don't have a functioning police force.
We have a functioning police force.
Judiciary.
We have a judiciary. But what we are dealing with here is crimes committed 14 years ago to 2019. We're talking about a timeline, Your Honor, that we were not even here yet, and that it is very hard. Ma'am, may I continue?
Yes, carry on.
Well,
yes.
it is very difficult for us. We made our commitments.
The president made it very clear.
We made our commitments to the United Nations that we would investigate all of these crimes committed during the drug war. And it was not a very easy task, ma'am, because the people that we expect to be cooperating with us were not. So, although we're still doing our investigations on the EJ case, on the extrajudicial killings committed during that time.
Yes, I'm not reviewing the drug war. This is a Foreign Relations Committee hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
But in this statement, the president clearly means jurisdiction over individuals. It's very, very clear. There's no area for quibbling. And if you say there's jurisdiction over individuals, I don't believe that you are in agreement with your president. As a matter of fact, the ICC does not try countries after all. They do try.
Our views evolved during times, at times. And I don't know if he still has the same view up to today, because we are talking about a clip which was done 1.5 years ago. Our minds can change, ma'am. We cannot just stay in one rut and say that this is the absolute, because our minds may change, and we are allowed that by the law of man and the law of God.
Yes, of course. Of course, we all change our minds, and Mr. Secretary. So you are saying that the president changed his mind?
Well, I cannot speak for him, Madam. I cannot speak for him. Your conclusions are really your own, and I cannot adopt your conclusions here.
They're not my conclusions. It's a bold statement, which really...
Well, your statements of belief are your own, ma'am. I cannot adapt to your statements of belief, but I respect them.
The statement of the president is very, very clear-cut. I would like to show also a letter in December of 2023. Do we have it on hand? Can you enlarge it so that it's much clearer? Okay. On screen is a letter dated 15 December 2023 addressed to Vice President Sara Duterte, where the president says that the jurisdiction of the ICC over the Republic after the effectivity of its withdrawal is very much in question. And I'm certain that all the members will echo my views on the matter. Would you like to comment? Anyone would like to comment on the said letter? Is it correct that if this was in fact a work in progress, as stated by Secretary Remulla, as of 15 December 2023, all the secretaries and undersecretaries already holding such positions at that time also viewed the ICC as having no jurisdiction over the country, as stated by the president himself in the letter?
We did not assist the ICC, ma'am. We continued with the very tenor of the letter, that we did not assist the ICC. We never had contact with them. The investigation that they conducted was through their own methods, and we did not in any way assist them. As said in your letter, we cannot.
It's not my letter, sir. It's the president's.
It's a president's letter. We did not assist them.
I think that's not the question. My question is simply to say that as of that date, all those in the cabinet were in agreement with the president's statement. Is that correct, Secretary Teodoro? As of 15 December.
Ma'am, the president's statement is binding, and I defer to Secretary Remulla that we did not, that no government agency, the DND, never cooperated with the ICC as in accordance with the statement.
Okay, and are there any other secretaries who'd like to verify that? We have Director Anyo, Director General Anyo. I believe you are cabinet rank as well, and the NSC sits with the president. Is it correct to say that everyone maintained the same position?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. But we did not assist the ICC in their investigation.
I don't think at this juncture we're asking about assisting the ICC. All we're asking is whether, in fact, you all agree that the ICC had no jurisdiction.
I think, ma'am, what we're talking about here is if it's in the case of the former president, the case was committed while the Philippines is still a member of the ICC.
Okay. I don't know, is there anyone of cabinet rank as well? I'm certain that the DFA will probably hold the same position, that you are all in agreement with effectively your boss as his alter ego, that the ICC had no jurisdiction, as stated in the letter quite clearly.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Yusek. Okay, and then in January of 2024,